All right, so we're going to do a little breathing-based practice today. Let's come onto the backs of our bodies to get in the mood to dive right into the sensations of breathing. And if we breathe and move our pelvis, and I'll just demonstrate what we're going to do. We're going to inhale and arch the spine, so there's length at the front of the body, and then we're going to exhale and lift the bum off the floor. There's a shortening of the front of the body. So inhaling, arching, exhaling, curling. Slow the breathing down as we inhale, lengthening the front of the body. Exhaling, we shorten the front of the body. We'll just keep going with that for a little while, and I'll add more instructions. And the instructions won't make the action any more complex, but it will allow the attention to become a little more detailed. So we're going to observe more as we do this very simple arch and curl exercise. Each time you feel the arch and the curl, notice that you could perhaps soften the pelvic floor when you inhale, allow the front side of the body to become long. And then you'll notice a natural lift of the pelvic floor when you exhale and lift the bum off the floor and curl in the spine. So just noticing that you could release the pelvic floor on inhale, and then it naturally lifts on the exhale. The inhale and exhale could be a little whispered, so it's audible. I'm exaggerating slightly just for demonstration purposes. It doesn't need to be too noisy. It's not like the Darth Vader kind of sound. It's just a little whispery. The inhalation and exhalation sound quite different from one another. So let's now experience the sound of the inhale versus the exhale. We're really luxuriating in the breath, finding the details, the sensuous details of our own breathing, of our moving, of our feeling in. All right, we'll just take another 5 repetitions of this. This is really lovely for hydrating around the organs in the belly, as well as the kidneys. It's also lovely for releasing the spine, massaging the spine a little. It massages all the way up into the neck spine because it's changing the way that the head is held. You might notice when you stick your or arch your spine, lengthen the front, inhale, you nod. And as you exhale, the chin might lift away from the chest. And so there's so much happening here, even though it's seemingly simple. There is a lot of change. All right, so last breath in and out here in this rocking pelvis exercise. And let's just settle the pelvis onto the floor for a moment. We're going to massage into the hip joints now. And the massage into the hip joints changes the way that the groin is. And so it creates a lymphatic drainage pump. So widen your feet off the mat, wider than the mat with your feet. And then just draw one knee or both knees from side to side. So one knee is drawing towards the floor, the knee at the back draws towards the floor, and that creates a little space across the front of the hip. And so each time we rock from side to side, there's a lot of space created in the back hip. And so letting the movement of the legs drag the spine and the pelvis into a rotation. Breathing deeply and slowly wherever you feel it's right for you to breathe, wherever in the sequence of rocking from side to side, it's natural for you to breathe, maybe not thinking about the breath but all that much. And then let's draw the knees into the chest and rock a little from side to side. As we rock, let's just warm up around the toes and the feet. So what if your toes became like hands and they closed into fists? and then opened out, closed into fists. So 2 feet closing into fists. That just means kind of curling the toes because your foot might not move into a full fist. All right, and then rotate at the ankles, just rotating in circles around with the feet, just to warm up around the ankles, get the feet to switch on a little bit, get the mobility in the ankles and a little bit of action through the lower legs. All right, so let's now do a little bit more breathing. This time we're going to arch the whole spine into Setu Bandhasan, the bridge. So we're going to take the hands beside us, just give space in the fingers, activate the hands a little. Inhale, lift the whole buttocks off the floor, lift the spine, lift the hands, the thumbs touch overhead. Exhale, rolling down. So make the breathing really quite slow. We inhale slowly up. And exhale slowly down. Allow the breathing to kind of be mesmerizing and hypnotizing, creating all of this new space as we move and breathe. We might get a little heat in the thighs in this exercise. We're pumping around the lower back spine as we move and breathe. You might start to feel a bit of heat there as well. So let's do 3 more of those. Inhale, reaching up and over, reaching the buttocks to the sky, pelvis lifting, and exhale, rolling down. 2 more. Moving as you breathe. Breathing is like an ocean sound. And then we'll stay down for a little while. We'll just give ourselves a little rock around just so that we can relax the buttocks and the hips. Take our knees into our chest, rock a little from side to side. So let's now do some breathing twists. So take yourself to the right side, curling up onto the right side of your body. The underside arm can be a cushion for your head. And then the top side arm is going to be moving as we breathe. We're going to inhale, open into a rotation, open out, inhale. And then close the rotation on the exhale. The hand can come up and above your head. Maybe your fingernails draw along the floor. Maybe they take a big, deep gap on the floor. It might be that you can't keep your hand on the floor as you rotate. So let's do 3 more of those breathing rotations. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, closed. And you can feel perhaps that there is some really lovely stretch in the shoulder as you open into that rotation. You could be holding your head if you'd like. It's quite nice to hold the head as you move into those twists. Let's see how it feels to stay for a couple of breaths. We'll open out into the twist and stay. A couple of breaths here. You'll notice that there is such a lot of change in the chest and the belly as we breathe. The bones will be moving as you breathe. It might be that you can slacken off and kind of deepen the rotation on the exhalation. You kind of sag a little more deeply on the exhalation, but the inhalation takes so much space. It's like you float a little on the inhalation and then sink a little on the exhalation. All right, we'll take our last inhalation here. And exhale, close off the twist and just lie on the side for a moment. I'm going to do the other side. So we'll turn ourselves all the way over to lying on the left. Curling up, you can hold the back and hold your head with the underside hand, and then reaching up and over your head as you inhale, open into the twist. Exhale, closing the twist, just lying on the side. Your own time, do several repetitions. The arm might not kind of stay in contact as you draw that big semicircle above your head. It might be that the hand is impossible to stay in contact with the floor, and it doesn't really matter. It may or may not. Just drag along the floor as you move and breathe. This would be a lovely position to do just with the eyes closed, so you can just feel more. And we'll do one more and then we'll stay a couple of breaths in the twist. So inhale, open into the twist. You can hold the back of the head with the underside arm and just let yourself drape here. Notice that the inhalation takes so much space that your bones will change and adapt to create the inhalation. And you can sink a little on the exhalation. Soft face, soft throat. We'll take another 2 breaths in this twist. Last breath here. And you can exhale, close off and just lie on your side for a minute. Let's come around to sitting up. We're going to maybe hold the knees to sit up. We'll do some cat-cow as we're sitting. Flex the feet, take the hands around the knees. We're going to inhale, arch the spine. Exhale, curl, really emphasizing the spreading of the shoulder blades as you curl back. Inhaling, reaching the chest forward, lifting the chin. Exhale, curling. Let's do 2 more of those. And none of these actions are aggressive. One last one. And then we'll sit and just pause a moment. That might have made you feel a little bit dizzy. We'll come into a cross-legged position. Take the right leg in front of the left and flex the feet. This is a cross at the shins. All right, so we're just going to go forwards. There will be a hip opening effect here. This is called the double pigeon. And so let's take a length in the spine before we move forwards into the stretch. Inhale, lengthen up. And exhale, drop onto your fingers. We'll go progressively, so don't go right into the deepest stretch yet. Inhale here, lengthen spine. Exhale, maybe going a little deeper. Inhale, lengthening the spine all the way from the tailbone to the crown. Exhale, maybe going a little deeper. You might have reached your limit. Once you've reached your limit, just stay 2 breaths in this double pigeon pose. Inhale deeply. Exhale, you might just feel the sense of surrender. Last breath here. Such deep, slow breathing. Let's come out of the double pigeon. We're not going to uncross our legs though yet. And just take our left hand in line with the left knee. So it's not to the side as much as side and forward slightly. And so now we're going to use this top arm, this free arm, to breathe and move. And it's like a sail. Each time your arm comes back, your chest might reach out like a back bend. And each time you exhale, the chest caves into a forward bend, and the hand comes to the floor. So let's see how that feels. Inhale and reach, open, arched spine. Exhale, curl spine, reaching forwards. Only going so far as it feels good. Not getting in any way aggressive, especially with the arch. It's like a billowing sail all the way through the chest. The hand is moving quite dramatically as you breathe. Let's do 2 more breaths. And we'll come back up to sitting, and you'll feel maybe a little bit dizzy. You'll just let yourself sit up for a moment, kind of accommodate this new oxygen. We've become a bit saturated. We've been breathing very deeply. You might also feel a bit of fatigue in the right shoulder. The right side and the left side might feel quite different. We're going to switch the legs. So left foot in front. Flex the feet a little, crossing at the shins. And then we'll take a really long spine on the inhale. Exhale, tip onto your fingertips. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale, going a little deeper. As we inhale, we lengthen all the way from the tailbone to the crown. Exhale, maybe going, this might be your deepest place. It might be that you're just in a place where you feel like that's a lot of stretch in the hips. We'll take 3 breaths here. Inhale, 1. Exhale, you feel a little surrender in the bones on the exhalation, a softening. It's quite evident in this position that the inhalation is a very active, kind of reaching out expansion phase of the breathing. The exhalation is a release, a softening, a surrender. Take 1 more breath here. And then we'll ease up and out of the position. Take the right hand near to the right knee, and then we're going to breathe like a sail billowing. Inhale, reach back, arch a little in the spine, lift the chin. And exhale, curl, bringing the chest back and the fingers forwards. Moving in your own time. Deep, slow breathing. You can feel that arch and curl effect in the spine, but we're not being in any way aggressive. I like to imagine that the movement here is the dancing of the breath. We're allowing the dance of the breath to come and express itself all the way through the upper body, all the way through the spine. And last one. We'll just come back into the center, and if that's made you feel dizzy in any way, just let yourself kind of reorient right into the center, into a balanced place. We'll uncross our legs now. We'll just hug our knees into the chest. All right, so we're going to do more of this breathing and moving. So taking ourselves, both knees go to the right. So tuck the feet, which are to the left. So you've got the right heel right into your pubic bone area. Okay, so we're going to do a moving and a breathing here, just being careful with how this feels in the lower back, because this might not feel so good in the lower back. So just back off if it doesn't feel good. All right, so we're going to take the left hand across to the knee, and we're going to twist deeply on the exhale. We inhale and soften back on the, so inhale and soften. So set your arms. So let's start on the inhale. So the chest, the breast, the kind of resting on the arm at the front. So inhale here. And exhale, twisting. Using both hands to support you. Inhale, backing off. Exhale, twisting. This feels, as you continue to move and breathe, as you inhale and you just release the belly, release all that torsion, and then exhale. It's almost like you're wringing out a sponge. We don't want to be aggressive, but we do want to be kind of interested. So make it interesting. We're not aggressive on the spine. If you've eaten recently, this one will feel a bit awkward. You can really feel this in the organs, in the belly, in the kidneys. Okay, one more. And let's soften back into the center. You'll feel the stimulation around your belly. We're going to do the other way, and this one feels a little awkward in this back hip. So plant the hands again. So the right hand is coming to the left knee, and this will be more awkward. Hopefully the knees feel okay with this. You can pad out, or you can even kind of make it smaller, sitting onto your feet if you need to. Okay, so inhale, soft. Exhale, twist. Inhale, soften, pull back into the center. Exhale, rinse. This is really nice for this hip. There is a whole space around the hip that's changing as we twist. You might really feel the belly muscles are quite challenged in this one. Two more breaths. Really very evident that the breathing is very much like a pump when we do these types of asana, these types of postures. All right, let's switch sides. Your belly will feel quite massaged, probably. Okay, switching the sides, tucking your feet in, and we'll do the more natural twist, which is to go to the left. Okay, so plant your hands, one at the back, one on the knee. We'll inhale just into the soft spine. Exhale, rinse. Keep breathing so deeply, backing off on the inhale. And squeezing into that twist on the exhale. If you had your first day or two of the period, this one, just go gently. It might feel kind of too much on the uterus, because we tug and pull at the uterus when we do these twists. It might feel really good. It might feel like, oh yeah, I needed this massage into my intestines. You might be shifting all manner of stagnant energy out of the belly organs. I just want to point out one more thing. As you move and breathe, there is sometimes when we're feeling upset or agitated, we get a knot in our stomach. We're actually touching the knot that we might feel around the solar plexus when we do this. So we're releasing it, and then we're touching into it as we breathe out. And so the releasing of it is really relieving. You release that knot in the belly. And then I'm going to touch into it on the exhalation. And you might not have a knot in your belly right now, but it might be something that you're like, yeah, I've had that though. I've had a broken heart, and it wasn't in my heart, it was maybe in my belly. Okay, so we're doing the other side now. This is the awkward side. We're bringing our hand across and anchoring it as much as we can on the knee. Okay, inhale here. Exhale, rinse. This is a very different twist because of the way the legs are set up. This is more about the lower belly and kind of the fertility organ space, about the connective tissue across the front belly, between the hip bones, across the hips. You might notice it doesn't quite touch into that solar plexus. It doesn't get into the knot in the belly space. It gets into perhaps the lower kind of the gut feeling, gut instinct space. So we're touching into any tension that's across the lower belly area in this one. Of course, the arms are doing a lot of work, and you're probably feeling a little bit of fatigue in the arms. Last one. And then we'll release. Just give ourselves a moment in the center. All right, coming into hands and knees, and just give yourself a little wiggle around. Those twists might feel a bit awkward in the spine, and so just wiggle out anything that's felt pinchy or awkward. Just resolve anything. Okay, so we're going to do a posture that we don't often do. We're going to widen the arms, and the bum is just over the knees. We're just going to bring the one shoulder to the floor. So we inhale center, exhale, and there's a shoulder stretch. So we bring one straight arm, one bent arm, shoulder towards the floor. So set your arms up so that feels okay. This is about the pectoral muscles and the deltoid muscles in the front of the shoulder. It's about the way that the shoulders sit in relationship to the ribs. This is about the heart space and the lungs. And the head is just accommodating the movement. Doesn't have to be anything kind of really very uncomfortable with the neck. This is another twisted position, and hopefully it feels quite nice in the thorax and the chest and then the spine. We'll do one more. And come up into the center. Take the toes to cross, so really cross the feet. So we're sitting onto the feet. We're going to stretch the feet now. So hopefully this feels okay with the ankles. So we're going to actually lift the knees off the floor and squash the feet, squashing the feet underneath us. And then bring the knees down, cross the feet in the other direction. So it's crossing at the arch. You're crossing at the arch. And then lifting the knees off the floor by pushing your fingers. So you're just stretching the feet, stretching, especially the one that's tucked in. Let's do it again. So cross at the arch, cross in the other direction, and lift the knees, and you're squashing that foot. This is quite nice, especially if you have a lot of tension around the ankles, and then squash the foot. Okay, so we're going to come up to a seated position. So we're going to go into a Vajrasana position. You might need blocks for this. I recommend blocks, even if you are quite flexible. Okay, so try one block, and it's the sit bones. You're going long ways with the block. So the sit bones are have place to ground, and tuck the heels nice and underneath. So if you need a second block because your knees are like not really enjoying the experience, then take a second block. Sometimes the stretch across the front of the ankles is also a factor. Okay, so now we're really symmetrical. So we're not very often symmetrical when we sit, but we're very symmetrical right now. All right, we're going to do some of the spinal movements. We'll take 3 breaths in 7 spinal movements. Take a little pistol grip with your fingers and then lift your hands right up to the ceiling. We're lifting as tall as we can, and then we're going to take 3 deep breaths. We're breathing into the side ribs. Inhale 1. Exhale, bring your belly in and up. Inhale, side ribs expand. And then belly in and up, get really tall on the exhalation. Expanded ribs, inhale. Belly in, getting very tall on the exhale. And then we'll have a break, and that's a very energizing position. So that as we bring our hands down, we might feel drunk on our own breath, drunk on our own energy. And so now we're going to go forwards. We're going to be in flexion with the spine. So if you need to just adjust your buttock, whatever you have to do on that block, if you feel like you're falling off the block, we want to adjust slightly because we're going to bring our knuckles forwards and round the spine, breathing backwards into the back of the chest. Inhale, broaden the ribs. Exhale, soften your belly. Don't pinch too heavily on the front side in this one. Breathing into the shoulder blades, inhale. Last breath. And then sitting up. All of these positions have different challenges, and so we kind of feel like we need the rest point in between them. So the next one is going to be an arched spine. I'm going to give 2 variations. You can just reach the hands back and arch the spine and lift the chin, or you can kneel up and do it with a little bit of extra oomph. When you sit up, kneel up, it might catch in the lower back, so it might not feel comfortable to do it with the hands, with the arched spine here. So either sitting or kneeling. 3 breaths. Inhale, 1, breathing into the collarbones. Exhale. You don't have to lift your head up and over. That might not feel good in the neck. You just want to open the chest and arch the spine. Last breath here. If you come up to kneeling, sit back down onto your brick and just give yourself a break. You might need a little roll of the shoulders after that one. That's kind of heavy. All right, so the 2 side to side movements. So we're going into side stretch. So we'll take the right side first because the right lung's bigger. And so take the left fingertips onto the floor, reach the right arm up and over, and then see if you can maybe walk a little bit down. Keep both buttocks onto your brick. If you're quite flexible, you might even have your elbow onto the floor. We want real space in the right side. So wherever you feel comfortable. Okay, and now set yourself to that deep, slow breathing. Inhale into that side body space. Exhale, you can feel a softening. 2. 3. 4. All right, bring yourself back up into the center, and we'll just take a moment with our eyes closed. We'll pause here. You'll feel quite tall on the right side. You'll feel probably quite different all the way into your ear and the right eye, all the way down your neck and all the way down the side of your right torso, right side torso. You'll feel taller, bigger, brighter. Your right hand might feel now very different to your left hand. So I've invited some extra space, some radiance, a bit of vibrance. And so let's do that left side. The left lung is slightly smaller, and of course it's got a flatmate. It's called the beating heart. And so the right hand down, left arm up and over, up and over, up and over, getting to the point where you feel like, yeah, that's a nice stretch, nothing too aggressive. And then we start the breathing. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Making sure not to pinch on the short side. Inhale 2. Both sit bones are still on the block. Inhale 3. And we'll come back into the center and just give ourselves a moment. You'll feel that flush of energy all the way down the left side, left ear, left eye, left side of the spine, left hand. I'm going to take the twisted spine differently. We're not going to be sitting here in Vajrasana for the twisted spine. So let's stand up for the twisted spine. And we've been down low this whole class, so it'll be quite a shock to stand up. It'll be even more shocking because we're going to be doing quite a lot of movement and a lot of action. So we're going to rock now. So this is what we're going to do all the way around, swinging the arms. And each time your hands ground, one hand taps the shoulder and the other hand taps the kidney. So we whack and then whack, whack. That's it. So this is not a kind of a slow, deep breathing exercise. This is a flinging exercise. So we're now changing the way the energetics are working with our breath. We are still breathing. We're not holding our breath. We're whacking the kidney at the back and the shoulders are at the front. We'll just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then come into the center. That one will definitely make you feel a bit dizzy, so we'll just give ourselves a moment to ground. Probably feeling fairly intimate with your own breathing now, with the structure of your breathing. Okay, let's do a different style of breath before because we're gonna excite our nervous system now a little bit. Right foot forwards, left foot back, right knee bends slightly. So this next breath practice is about the entire upper body. It's really, really good for the shoulders. We become very, very bright in our attention and our awareness. The inhale is through the nose, the exhale is through the mouth, and it's kind of like it's a blowing out. Okay, the arms come forwards on the inhale, they're crossed. As you exhale, you bring fists into your hands and your elbows pull back. So we go. Get a little faster, keep going, get a little faster, like a train leaving the station. You're a steam train. As you keep going, you do not need to move your head forwards and backwards, just leave your head in the center, move your shoulders instead. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step forward, inhale, reach your hands up, hold your breath in. Hold, 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 hold. Floppy forward bend, let yourself completely drape down. Let the arms drape, let the head swing around. Not holding the breath, just breathing freely, but you're draping your spine. You're draping the neck, the chest, the arms. All that oxygenated blood is being flooded into the brain. We're flushing our face. We can feel the heaviness as the kind of eyebrows and the face and the tongue get full. And then we'll walk up our legs. Your hands can just come up onto the knees. We'll walk up slowly. We might feel a bit dizzy when we stand up, just to accommodate the changes of your blood pressure. All right, left foot back. Right foot back, left foot forwards. We're going to do the same on the other side. So let yourself just accommodate all these changes. This is quite an interesting practice because there's just so much intervention. Okay, so inhale forwards, exhale back. So not looking down, looking slightly up, so the neck is nice and soft and it's not kind of pushed forwards. You're not pushing the head forwards. You can feel the rib cage and the shoulder blades are really gliding against each other. You're very saturated with oxygen. You start to feel hyperventilated and it's going to feel good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Interlock the hands, reach up, inhale, hold. Hold, hold, hold. Exhale, floppy forward bend. Let the head dangle. Let that really flushed, oxygenated blood spill into the face, spill into the arms, spill into the chest. And then we're going to walk up our legs. Just accommodate the blood pressure as it changes, the blood clearing out of the face. We're just standing in Tadasana for a moment, standing with the head held high, letting the heaviness of the floppy forward bend just get kind of dissolve out of the face. Start to feel this very tall spine, floating skull, lovely structure around the shoulders. lovely structure around the ribs, through the belly, through the pelvis, into the very strong legs. We go back down onto the mat now. That was the exciting phase of this practice. So come down onto the mat. Let's grab a block so that when we are moving and breathing, we'll have a block with us. So the right knee is going to be bending, the left leg's long. We've done this before, I imagine. So the right knee and block are towards each other. Let me just demonstrate. We're going to inhale, reach up and over, and then we're going to exhale, reach across into a twist. Opposite hand comes towards the foot. And if you can't touch the foot, just grab the knee or something. Okay, so we're going to do this 5 times. This is a really sweeping action. We're really dancing the breath. Okay, press down with the hand and the knee. Inhale, sweep open. That's it. Exhale, twist and reach across. Again, inhale, sweep open. That's it, and sit and reach across, opposite hand towards the foot or the ankle or the knee, and 3. And sit and twist. 4. And 5. I'm going to stay in this sit twist. I'm going to stay. We can breathe, directing the breath right into the right kidney, right at the back of the ribs. So you can direct your breath as though the lower ribs at the back of your rib cage are gills, and you're breathing into the gills. Getting the lower lobe of the right lung, giving that a bit of space. There's sometimes a lot of dormant energy in this spot. So breathing any dormant energy away from the lower back ribs. The right kidney, lower lobe of the lung. Just above the kidneys are the adrenal glands. We're soothing the adrenal glands. In the energetic language, they say that we hold resentment on the kidneys, and so breathe the resentment, any grudges, any anger that you are focused on for any person or yourself. Breathe it off. Let it out of the gills. Let it come out through this breathing practice. And then we'll sit back up. It'll take us a moment just to accommodate all of that. That's kind of a heavy practice, emotionally and physically. So let's just give ourselves a moment, cross legs, sit up. We'll just feel the space at the back of the right kidney, back of the right rib cage. Feeling that space is now clear. You've got perhaps a little bit more room. Notice the other side. Of course, we've been pinching down on the left side, so you'll feel the remnant of the pinch. That little pinch, that remnant might feel familiar because, of course, we're maybe not kind of creating that space that we need around the kidneys, spine, around the back ribs, around the lower lung. And so let's clear that side now. So take the block onto the other side. The left knee is bending, right leg's long. So sweeping up on the inhale, sweep up. That's it. And then sit, twist. You can feel you're rinsing out that little space around the kidney on the left when you sit and twist. And inhale, reach up and over. And sit and twist. 3. 4. Falling in love with this deep, slow, whispered breath. Last one. All right, we're going to stay a few breaths in this twist and reach. We're really going to feel the left kidney and create some gills just around the lower back ribs on the left side. Breathe into the gills. There's a lot of muscular muscular energy around this area. You've got some latissimus kind of attachments here. You've got QL and the psoas attachments here. And so this whole space can get very, very strong, but really, really tight. Last breath here. And we'll sit up. We'll just give ourselves a moment to come back into the center, back into a little symmetrical, orientated, balanced place. You might feel kind of addicted to this type of breathing. It is really soothing. It like smooths everything out. It's also, of course, kept us good company. This sound of the breathing, the movement of the breathing, the dance of the breathing. We're still kind of focused on the lower back ribs area. We're going to do some breathing, thread the needle twists. So if you bring yourself to hands and knees, you only need one block underneath the left hand. We're going to take ourselves from the hands and knees, right hand behind the head, and we're going to lift the right elbow up on the inhale and then thread it through the gap on the exhale. Just hover there, just pulling your elbow through the gap between your left hand and knee, and inhale, open out. Exhale, threading your elbow under. 2 more. Don't go aggressively. If there's anything awkward in the spine or around the back ribs, if it doesn't feel good, it may be that there has been so much digestive stimulation that your intestines have changed as a matter of our practice. Okay, we're going to stay for a little while now. So inhale up, exhale, thread the whole arm through, and then stay for a moment. You can do whatever you'd like with this left hand. It can stay on the block. It can come around the back and tuck under across the opposite thigh. That's kind of quite nice to feel the hand tuck in to its opposite thigh. Wherever you are, whatever is happening with that left arm, you can experiment. Let's go back to that deep, slow breathing. So much twist through the spine, but you're also hanging the organs. They're not kind of sitting down into the pelvis, they're draping into the thoracic space. So they're upside down, the organs here. We're releasing stagnant energy that might be at the bottom of the organs, letting them tip and spill upwards. Last breath here. And let's come up and around. Replace that left hand onto the block. Lift yourself up. Let's just recover into a seated position. You can sit onto your feet. Just let your head be held high. Ideally, this type of practice, we're allowing ourselves to meet the deeper places within our structure, but it's also within our emotional structure, our psychological structure. It's not just the organs, the muscles, the connective tissue. We're flushing blood, we're changing the blood pressure, we're tapping into a kind of a balance in the nervous system, perhaps. we're also tapping into places that we're holding a lot of emotional tension. And so after a practice like this, I'm just going to suggest that we take our time after this practice, that we drink a lot of water, that we don't try and make too many big decisions, that we just let this new tone, new smoothness, new sense of balance integrate. We want to adapt. We want to adapt to this new kind of way of being ourselves. Sometimes we hurry back into the patterns and the tension because it feels normal, it feels like ourselves. Let's not hurry back to the patterns of tension. Let's just stay spacious after this practice for a few hours, not trying to be anybody or do anything particular, if you can afford the time. Okay, let's do the other side. So the block comes underneath the right hand, and we are in otherwise the hands and knees through the legs. Left hand comes onto the back of the head. We inhale, reach up, and exhale through the gap. Smooth, slow breathing, smooth, slow action. Nothing aggressive. We're not just throwing ourselves around. Let's do one more. Inhale, reach up. Okay, all the way through, and we'll stay for a little while. So all the way through that arm, that's it. And this is a very interesting place to be. If it feels too heavy, pull back a little, just come back out of it slightly. If you can't kind of reach your breathing, we need to create a little bit of space for the breathing. So the right hand can do whatever, reaches up or reaches around. And then go back to that whispered breathing, this hypnotic ocean-like whisper in the breathing. Do 2 more breaths in this position. And replace the hand onto the block, the right hand. Let yourself come up. And we're just going to sit onto our feet for a moment. Just allow this symmetry to come back through the spine. If you need to move your head or neck around, because there sometimes can be awkward stuff that comes through the neck in that last position. Okay, so we're going to do the diamond pose, and this is a symmetrical pose, and it's really about that kidney space. And I'm talking about this space here. It's where the floating ribs come through. There's the connection of the lats, there's the psoas, there's the QL. So there's a point here that we tense up, and so we're working on releasing the tension around the kidneys at the back. But it might not be the organs that I'm really talking about. It's more like deep connective tissue, deep holding zone. All right, diamond pose. I'll do it facing the camera so you can see that the feet are very much further forward than Baddha Konasana. We're not right tight into the center. Now, if you had blocks, cushions, bolsters, it's really good to have something to lean on. I'm just going to suggest that if you have 2 blocks, bring them into a tower, hold the seam, hold the 2 blocks together, and then tip them into a diagonal and let your face rest or forehead rest onto the blocks. So you've built a little tower, making sure that it's not too topply. Get it into a diagonal and then rest the forehead. Hold the seam between the blocks if you feel like you need to, or you can let go and hold the ankles and just let yourself rest there. Over the next few moments, you'll feel like you want to go further forwards, and so you just make it lower. So you're just going to allow the props to start to disappear as you become kind of more surrendered in the position. Eventually, you might even have your forehead just resting onto your heels. That's maybe going to be comfortable, maybe not. So let's let ourselves soften in, be willing to change the props as you like. And then we'll just start to feel that space between the lower back ribs and where it becomes the lower back. And that's where we're breathing. This is a really lovely position to visualize yourself with gills, as though you can feel a kind of an inner stingray, and the gills are now breathing, and place those gills around lower back ribs, just in that space of the kidneys. Allow the breath to be whispered, slow. You'll feel the symmetrical kind of tug through the whole spine. You might feel that the tug of the spine is different from right side to left side. You might have more tension on one side or the other side. Feel free to just kind of push into the side of the spine a little bit. If you feel like, oh, it's really asymmetrical, or if you have any scoliosis, just push into the sides of the spine a little bit, just to create a little bit of space, a little bit of opening from side to side. There might be things that release in the spine. Sometimes you can kind of release and the spine can kind of pop open a little bit. We're really unaggressive with this type of approach to our practice. When we're using breathing, we don't want to be aggressive. We want to feel as though the space is a respectful space. The space that we're creating is a respectful space. The breathing is an expansion on the inhale. We feel this lovely opening, and it might be very subtle. It might be very subtle, tiny increments of tension are releasing as you breathe. Take 2 more deep, slow breaths. And then slowly lift back up and out. It might be that you feel a bit sleepy because you've been folded forwards, you've kind of flooded the face again with blood. So just lift yourself up. You might feel like your forehead needs a little rub because you've been resting the forehead onto a block. All right, let's move the blocks out of the way. Let's just give ourselves, our hips have also been in an external rotation, and our ankles might feel a little bit like they're being squashed. So lean like you're lying on the beach and just rock your pelvis and your legs from side to side. I'm going to close this practice with a passive back bend. There's a couple of ways that we can do that. If you were at home and had a cushion, couch cushion, or a bolster, or a towel, or pillow folded in half, I suggest putting, if you imagine that my blocks are a cushion folded in half, you put the folded cushion or pillow underneath your chest. And so it's not comfortable with blocks to do it like this, but if you did have that, you would drape then over that cushion, draping into a passive back bend, and you can just drop your knees in and drape forward. If you don't have, if you've just got blocks, then it might be more comfortable to bring one block for the chest and one block for the head. And so set yourself up for a passive back bend. And the tallest place I suggest is a block on its edge, on its second edge, one for the chest. It's really bra strap area, so behind the nipples, and then one for the head. And if that's feeling too heavy to drape like this, it might feel like, oh, it doesn't feel good in my lower back, or it feels awkward, then just go into something softer, something smaller. We've all got yoga mats, and so if you can't find a really good spot, you can roll up your yoga mat and just have a very soft little roll underneath the chest. So lots of options, but let's take whatever option and then settle in for the passive back bend. Just let your arms drape open, let the arms just completely soften to the side. Your head might be falling backwards slightly, so let the mouth and the jaw and the throat soften. This becomes a place where we can really start to release across the chest. If there were indeed a heart opener, this would be the one. And so we're going to use that sense of heart opening, and we're going to use our arms. So just let the arms drape, just let that settling across the front of the chest and breasts, across the front of the shoulders happen. And then each time we inhale, we're going to imagine that the inhale is lifting any residue that may be the residue of resentment, the residue of fear, the residue of anger, the residue of jealousy, the residue of doubt, as though the inhalation could really lift it off the heart, off the lungs, right out of the belly, out of the organs, out of the tissues, lift it right up to the surface on the inhale, and then imagine that it drains down the arms so you can flick it out of the fingers on the exhale. This uses a bit of the power of your imagination, lifting the residue that may be feeling as slightly toxic, lift it right up on the inhale. Let it drain out of the arms into the fingers and flick it out on the exhale. We'll do this several times, lifting any toxic residue to the surface on the inhale. Drain it out of the arms, flick it out of the fingers. And so using your imagination, if it doesn't work for you, this visualization, then just enjoy the passive back bend. It doesn't have to be there, that aspect. If the passive back bend doesn't feel good, then don't linger here. You don't have to stay here if it doesn't feel good. If it feels awkward anywhere, just come out. You can still do this breathing practice, this imaginary of residue, lifting the toxic residue, lifting up on the inhalation, draining out of the arms. You can just do that lying straight onto your back. You could do that anyway. If you're enjoying this passive back bend, we're going to do 3 more breaths here. Okay, if you're ready to come out of the passive back bend, and you might not be ready, you might want to stay there for a little while longer. Use your elbows. You push against your elbows a little bit, lift the head, and then let yourself come up and out of the passive back bend. So it can be a bit of an awkward exit, And then let yourself come all the way down onto the mat. It'll be probably quite relieving to not have the blocks underneath. And we'll just let ourselves, just like we began, we're going to just draw the arch and curl with the pelvis, and just give your belly a rub with your hands, rub around the lower belly, rub across the pubic bone. That will feel quite nice. And up into the belly button area, just giving your general abdomen a big rub, and up across the chest and the breasts, rubbing across the chest and breasts, across the front of the shoulders, down the arms, just rubbing and stimulating the skin around the armpits. Just using your hands to stimulate across the front of the body, and across the arms, across the hands. And then we'll finish with the rubbing across the face, across the forehead, releasing the kind of furrow in between the eyebrows, just spreading open that space, giving yourself a little bit of release across the eyebrows, across the eyebrow ridge, and across the forehead. And we're drawing from the center outwards. So you're rubbing open. It's like if the cerebral cortex is like the mind, the thinking mind, then we're opening the window across the forehead, letting that frontal brain just feel a lot of space, freshness, opening across the forehead. Feeling as though the window of the mind can be cleared, can be freshened. Okay, and then once we've had that big rub across the front, we'll just finish with the rocking. So inhale, arched spine. Exhale, go. Hopefully feeling very integrated after all of that moving and breathing. Very intimate with this beautiful body that you are. It's nice to place our hands onto our belly as we do this. Two more. The big, deep opening at the front. And then curling. Last one, arching, inhale. Curling, exhale. And then let yourself soften into the relaxation. Make sure you're warm enough and allow the legs to soften down. I'm going to close with a little relaxation, and then I'm going to disappear. So you can stay if you have some extra time. You might even fall asleep. And so I'll just guide you into the relaxation and then disappear. Okay, let the heels become really heavy. If you need to do anything in the feet, do that now, and then soften the feet. Become soft across the legs, through the knees, through the thighs into the hips. You might just squeeze the buttocks, lift the pelvic floor in, and then soften again. Allow the belly to be soft. That space around the back kidneys is soft. Ribs heavy on the ground. You can feel the shoulder blades that is holding the back of the ribs, like hands holding the backs of the lungs. Just feel the shoulder blades supporting the ribs. Soft across the armpits, in the shoulders, through the arms to the hands. Soft in the neck and the throat. Soft in the jaw and the mouth. You might take a big, deep sighing breath now. And then softly close the mouth, let the throat be soft, the jaw is released, the lips are soft. You might have to swallow, then just release entirely around the throat and mouth. Let the cheeks and the forehead, the eyes and the eyebrows release. The head becomes heavy on the ground. You can feel the whole structure of your physical body softening. You feel the whole structure of your physical body relaxing, softening, surrendering.